We are here ready to go to war on Union Smack. Welcome back. What's going on, guys? Maniac Matt Tennant, what's going on, my friend? How have you been? Do you have the camo on? Are you strapped in or in your bunker? You got your rifle handy. You ready to go to Wrestlewar, pal? 90. What's going on?
I am. The hard hat is strapped on. I am doing very well. It's been a very good week. And let's start off as we always do, Travis. You can find me over on Twitter at the Perfect Tenant. You can buy our merchandise, the official Union Smack shirt, the official Hibiki t-shirt, my book, The Undertaker: A Trip Down Death Valley, which is soon to be released via WrestleCrate in the UK as well. You can find all that at unionsmack.bigcartel.com. And that's all we've got. That's all we've got to haul, Travis.
You say it so modestly. Congratulations, man. That's huge news. The UK Wrestle
Thank you very much.
book's going to be in there. My God, congrats.
Yes.
On behalf of us, all the listeners, everyone, man. That's huge, unbelievable news. Man, you just keep that book. It's excellent, guys. Get over there to the store, check it out, pick it up. Other than that, as always, on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, we are in the midst of Mania season, Matt. There's not a lot going on in the news. There's just so much. We are going to be completely, like a week and a half from now, so tired of looking at anything wrestling. I know you already are, and usually are because you do so much for books and stuff, but just 10 times, tenfold that in about a week and a half. Mania season's right around the corner. I'm probably going to be a little more because I'm actually going to be there for what they've come out and said is the longest Mania in history. Look for all the videos, travel vlogs, all that coming up. Original Slam Pigs podcast, hitting the road going to Wrestlemania right here on the channel. But Jesus, Matt, I'm not. It's sinking in. It's like Christmas Eve for me.
I imagine you go to bed every night, just like 12 more sleeps, 11 more sleeps.
Yeah. It's just it's getting to that point where it's a little surreal, and I'm gonna sound like a damn mark or whatever you want to call me. It's getting a little surreal that I'm actually going to be there. And I've gone back and checked out footage from like WrestleMania 29. This stadium's fucking huge. And I'm just dreading the traffic already. It's going to be awful. I feel like from the rumors I've seen, there's been speculation what we're getting, maybe the Demon. There's always possible to, by the way, if the Undertaker doesn't appear this year, Matt, this will be the first time since what, WrestleMania 2000. He wasn't in any shape or form.
I believe so, yeah. Yep.
Think he's going to be there?
Not that I'm complaining. I mean, it's like, I don't think he'll be there. Nope. I really don't. I think it'll be John Cena instead. It'll be good, I think, to see which one of us is right. You think Undertaker, I think Cena. But like I said before we came on air, as long as it's not Baron Corbin, we're all winners.
Oh, that's also down since we recorded the announcement of Baron Corbin. I've never seen. We talk about, there's lack of just unity and stuff on Twitter, and everyone's at odds with each other and just opinions and all this bullshit. It's the first time in a long time I've seen just by unanimous decision, everybody collectively took a big, hefty dump on this, the announcement of Baron Corbin and Kurt Angle. It killed the crowd dead in its tracks on Raw last Monday when Kurt made it. The crowd was so hyped. Everyone was like, oh, who's it going to be? Shelton Benjamin, John Cena, blah, blah, blah. The last time anyone expected for a match like this, Baron Corbin. I don't know if you saw this too. I saw in the news also, like Kurt Angle's wife deleted a tweet. She quoted Jim Ross's tweet saying that's a lackluster choice, and she put like agree 100%. But then she ended up so I don't think the Angles are probably thrilled with this. They've tried to do damage control in a way. They've come out and said flat out, we know the universe is unhappy, which is I smell swerve job all over it.
Yeah, I think this is just Vince trolling the audience. If not, then he must really hate us. Like, there must be some serious hate from Vince McMahon to us if this is like a legitimately serious plan.
Yeah. Well, see, you got to do this. Devil's advocate. It's consistent. Storyline's consistent. He's made Kurt his life torture for the past couple months. Blah blah blah. Consistent. But they've had 2 matches. Were they memorable? And B, even if they had no matches, did you want to pay off in this feud? And if you did, I don't know what to tell you.
Not really.
Maybe our wrestling isn't for you, the kind of we like. I don't know. But like I said, maybe it was like 98 to 2% in disfavor of this announcement, man. Unbelievable.
And who are them 2%? Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Who is sitting there
Colin.
going, oh, great. A
Colin
Baron Corbin
Dunn.
singles match at WrestleMania. Colin, yeah.
Shout out to Colin.
The only man who owned the Baron Corbin shirt.
And a gender all over his shirt. Hey, who knows? Maybe around Mania season, Slam Pigs will finally get it back on track, and Colin will be back on. But until then, we'll just make fun of you until we get Slam Pigs rolling again. But God, how many matches have they announced? 17, 18 matches? There's so much here. So much, man.
Yeah, I'm hearing 17 matches over the 8 hours. I think it's important to remember that 2 of them hours will be pre-show, so at least 3, possibly 4 of the matches will go on before Mania actually starts. But still, it's like 17 matches for the sake of it as well.
We'll get our butcher flies and cut out some fat here. Why is Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese the thing? Why is that? Why?
I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing a title change. I'm seeing Buddy Murphy going to SmackDown Live in the international shake-up bullshit that's coming 2 weeks after Mania, but I don't know. It's going to be a good match. I just don't know why. It's like, but then I've heard people sit and bitch and moan for ages that there's too many cruiserweight, multi-man matches, and I don't know. I hope this is on the main card this time and not on the pre-show. But with all the things I'm hearing about the demise of 205 Live, I very much doubt it will be.
People could come at me also, by the way. 2 other matches on this card. I could go the rest of my life if I never have to watch. I feel like are totally unneeded. It would be better suited than like a B-level pay-per-view and they'd stand out more. I don't care what you say. We don't need Shane McMahon to wrestle every WrestleMania. And people have said, yes, that was a good heel turn. But other than that, this has done nothing for me. This whole storyline with them with the belt, it's just been piss break. Anytime I've seen these two together. And you know what? Haters come at me. I have no interest in Randy Orton and AJ Styles. I don't know what it is. It's got to be Randy Orton in my mind. But still, at the same time, people are saying dream match. And yes, I get that. But if it's a dream match, shouldn't I be a hell of a lot more excited for it?
Yeah. What's there been I don't watch Raw and SmackDown anymore, but what's there been so far to hype it? That little bit at Fastlane, and then what I'm hearing was quite a good promo on SmackDown. That's it, is it?
Like, just interfering in finishes to each other's matches. Standard, boring bullshit, pretty much.
That's been the 5 weeks. Just crap.
Now, if this is Randy Orton from 04, even 06 Orton, maybe I'd be a little more, behind it. But I just feel so unneeded, that match on the card.
Yeah. It feels like a match to get them on the card. But then most of the matches are going to feel like that. We're 2 weeks away and they've not even finalised the whole card yet. So
yeah.
I think every match that's announced from tonight, Monday night, going forward is just going to feel like that's there to fill a space.
It's actually going on live right now while we record this. There's a match tonight between Lashley and Finn Balor in like a handicap match, and if Balor beats him and Leo Rush, he gets a title match at Mania. So just add one more. It's going to be on there. I don't know the results yet, but I don't have to know the results. I'm going to look fucking wrong, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. And if he does, he's going to bring the demon out for Lashley. It's like, are you shitting me? You're now trying to convince me that he's kept the demon in hiding for so long because he didn't need it to beat Lesnar. That was fine, but he needed to beat
Lashley. He already beat Lashley as regular Finn Balor. So it's like, what? No,
it's madness. It's absolute madness. It's a good job after nearly 3 decades that we can laugh at this, Travis. Otherwise, we'd just be in a corner rocking somewhere, just crying of what professional wrestling's become.
Yeah. In the room, the 3 big ones, the 3 title matches, Kofi Mania, the women's now, and I also announced today now main eventing, and whatever, it's fine. As it should. It's been built the most, and it's probably had the most hype behind it. It deserves it. Let's say it. It just deserves it. And that's also to the lack of hype that Rollins and Lesnar have had. Those are the 3 big ones. You and I said it off air. The only match I am hyped for is Kofi and Daniel Bryan, which hasn't even been announced yet, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, it will be. In some shape or form over the next 2 Tuesdays, we'll get it because you can't not. You can't bring us this far and then go, oh, actually, no, it's just going to be someone else.
Yeah. They did pull at my heartstrings on SmackDown. There was a line in Kofi's promo where he's like, "I've never taken my kids trick or treating once," and he just delivered it so sad, and I did feel bad for him. So that was a well delivered, like sympathetic babyface line. But they're starting to overbook it too, like they did with the women's three-way match.
Yeah.
And enough is enough.
Yeah.
And now we're what, a week and a half out. Announce the fucking match, for Christ's sakes. Let's keep it real though. The WWE title, the SmackDown title, whatever you want to call it, that's basically at the end of the day the Intercontinental title with how it's looked at in my eyes. The women's title is the world title right now.
Yeah.
The Universal title is kind of like the US title, and there's your IC title. That's how they view it.
Sure, you can't disagree with that. You can't disagree with that either. It's like there's so little care being put into it. I appreciate the effort they've put in with Kofi and Daniel Bryan, but like you said, it's overbooked again.
Yep.
There's been nothing really with Seth and Lesnar. In fact, I sometimes watch the highlights of Raw on YouTube, like I told you before we come in there, but I've not watched anything with Lesnar or Rollins' name on it from Raw since the Raw Rumble. That's how little interest I've got in it. It's like Seth is obviously going to win, so they can print fucking shirts with Beast Slayer on the front and he can live off that for another 6 months. But do I care?
Ooh.
Not really.
It's a vicious take right there, and I don't disagree. I don't disagree about Rollins. Another thing, and there was a glimpse of hope maybe that just Rollins carrying it as a Royal Rumble winner, the momentum, him and just Lesnar's build up. There was a glimpse of hope, I guess. I'm not going to hold my breath if it would happen, that they would have got everyone hyped, which I highly doubt. But I think the Roman thing totally just overshadowed Rollins. What terrible timing. They should have waited. Just go after Mania so you have something fresh to go with on the Raw after Mania. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody Roman is cleared. Keep it a surprise. Well, how do you think that would have gone off? Nobody would have seen it coming the night after Mania. Poof, Roman Reigns. Oh, I'm back. Oh. This is an NXT tag team, but here's Roman fucking Reigns, cancer-free. Oh, my God. And then instant angle with him and Rollins. Maybe you could turn Rollins heel again that night. Who knows? But no, they shit the bed with doing this too early. Because you totally just took a piss on Rollins' momentum, which he has none right now because he's a member of the Shield again and not just single babyface wrestler Seth Rollins. That's Mania, man.
Yeah. Again, agreed. You rushed Roman back way too fucking soon. But, it's Vince. He wanted his main guy on the card. So who cares about a title when Roman's there? Certainly not Vince McMahon.
No, and that's the road we have all traveled down as WrestleMania approaches, and that's the card they're giving us, and take it or leave it. $400 ticket later, I have to take it. Fuck that. But it is what it is.
You've got no choice.
Yeah, I have no choice. Matt, you have a choice, my friend, still. Don't swallow the red pill like I did. Anything else you want to talk going on newsworthy in that wonderful world of graps you want to talk about possibly before we take a break here?
If there is, it's slipped my mind, Travis, I have to say.
See, we're burnt out on WrestleMania, and we're just talking about it in one conversation. That's how big this card is. Good sign.
Then when you're thinking about like all the wrestling we've got to come over that weekend, it's just 8 hours of, can I really be bothered to watch it this year? And we shouldn't be feeling that about WrestleMania. It should be, oh my God, it's WrestleMania, and not, oh God, it's WrestleMania.
I truly feel like, unless in certain rare specific occasions, most content in general should never, ever look, feel, smell, taste anything like a marathon to sit and watch through. It should be boom, bam, enough to cleanse your palate if you need it. Whatever you go into, escape reality when you watch anything, whatever you're into, right?
Yeah.
That's why, go back to Monday Nitro. I feel like, yes, they were starting to fall off. The train was starting to fall apart a little bit. And then it did more and more. And I think what finally put the nail in the coffin is when Nitro went to 3 hours and 98 or some shit like that. And everyone, then Raw just started dominating. That's too long. Plus the replay of Nitro after didn't help. When did Raw become fully unbearable in the modern era finally? When it became 3 hours. When did people start bitching about WWE pay-per-views, even though we're getting them for 10 fucking bucks a month? Why are we bitching? Because they keep making them longer. They're not learning their lesson. Less is always more with professional
Yeah,
wrestling, I feel like, Matt. Some of the greatest,
yeah. It's
most
quality, not
memorable,
quantity.
perfectly paced cards in the history of pro wrestling have been about 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's like in the music business. That's if you want to hit single, it's got to be like what, 2 minutes, 32 seconds, something like that. There's a specific time most artists try to aim. It's just wrestling it should
Yeah,
never feel like you're reading the Bible. It should feel like you're reading a graphic novel. You know what I mean? That's my 2 cents.
that's a very good analogy. Yeah, I completely agree.
I'm a
Completely agree.
babbling Betty this week. I apologize. That's what mania season does to you. It's a fever. You get an infection. It spreads all over your body. And you try to pass it to your friends, and Matt's trying not to get the sickness and start bitching about it like I am this week.
I think, to be honest, Matt's just done with it completely right now. Maybe I'll be more excited on April the 5th
Yeah.
after Takeover was done and Pete Dunne retained the title. But, you know, right now it's just like, oh yeah, there's a WrestleMania happening in 2 weeks' time. I'm right now, you know, balls deep in the middle of something completely different, and I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I'm it's kind of you're kind of like you're getting married and you're getting cold feet because now you know it's getting close. That title could be coming off Pete. So it's like, man, you start to shut down a little bit.
Yeah,
You getting a little nervous.
that's the thing. If Pete Dunne hadn't been on Takeover, I might be looking forward to WrestleMania a bit more. But now my whole WrestleMania weekend, like my mood, is sort of it's on that one match. It's like if he wins, brilliant. I might be more excited for Mania than I am. If he loses, that's it. That's my weekend done right there. I don't give a
That's
fuck
it.
about Mania.
Even though I feel like the NXT card looks tremendous, I got to give it to them, and they stacked that son
Yeah,
of a bitch this year.
yeah, I agree with that.
Happy WrestleMania, everyone. If we don't release an episode, because there's a lot of preparation, I'm sure, for this road trip I'm about to embark on, all that. Hopefully, we get another out. And before then, until then, if not, happy WrestleMania. Hope everyone has a pleasurable WrestleMania experience. When we come back, though, Matt, we're not going to have a pleasurable experience at all. Talking about what?
We're not. We are going to Wrestlewar 90. WCW Wrestlewar 90, I should add. And break his nose.
I smell the napalm in the air, and I smell the shit booking on a run sheet with Jim Herd backstage in WCW. When we come back,
I'll be there with something to prove, brimming with intentions to bust the move.
I'm the Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, and you're listening to the Union Smack podcast.
It's gonna go down on the Wrestlewar 90. The kings of the ring all come together and do the wild thing.
we are back. We are strapped in. The rocket packs are on. We are ready to go to war. Maniac Matt Tennant. We are back in the trenches. And 100-yard stare was the thing that soldiers went through when they'd seen so much just war and casualties, blah, blah, blah. They'd go insane. I feel like after watching the pay-per-view review this week, Wrestlewar 90, WCW, that I have a 100-yard stare looking at professional wrestling.
Yeah. Oh my god. I can't believe how bad this show was. And I don't want to give anything away for everyone listening. We'll get into it, but my god. I don't know what took it out of me more. This or knowing WrestleMania is going to be 8 hours long.
Yeah. From top to bottom, literally, as soon as you fire this thing up on the network, you know, in the best possible quality you could watch it on the network, on your TV in HD or whatever, it still looks like shit. Just the quality. It looks worse than like a 1996 Raw or a 94 ECW. Just camera wise, it was foggy and just looked like someone smudged on the lens, or it just looked like a filthy arena, and just lighting was terrible and completely off. One thing on my notes here, I don't have the name of the arena on my notes. Do you, by chance?
No, I don't. I didn't write it down.
I think this was in Greensboro, actually, where they had Starcades and stuff. And this is one of the first big shows they had coming back. This was in Greensboro. Um, the Ruse pads, the Ruse shoes on the ring posts at the time. And they tried to make it look like boxing ring posts by putting advertisements. It just did not work, and it looked so cheap. It looked like a gym
Yeah,
class or
it
something.
looked hideous.
That was literally the first thing I noticed
It
when I
looked
turned this on, Matt.
absolutely hideous. Yeah, I mean, the first thing I noticed was Terry Funk's awful dress code, but like you said, the ring couldn't be ignored. It looked ridiculously bad.
Nothing matched, nothing really made sense as far as their set design. Kind of all over the place. It was kind of like I let one of my kids play like Create Arena on 2K19. They were just building random shit. But before we get to the arena, the
Yeah.
announcers, any of the setup, the builds, the angles, we got to talk about the goddamn intro for this show when you turn it on. Not just
Loved it.
Wrestlemania 90. No. Not just Wrestlewar 90, my friends. The Wild Thing. Holy
And the
shit.
Wild Thing rap, loved it. Absolutely loved it. This could possibly be my favourite intro to any pay-per-view ever. It's just that the time they took to record the rap, to put it all together, it's like classic 90s cheesy shit nostalgia at its best. And if so, people have heard it on the intro to this episode, but if you've not seen the actual rap, I urge you to go and look it up on YouTube. It is both amazing and somewhat hideous at the same time.
Better yet, take a look right here.
Wrestlemania 90, the kings of the ring. All come together and do the wild thing. Lex Luger, the stylish, Nature Boy Sting, yeah, they all be doing that. The wild thing, yeah, they all be there with something to prove. Brimming with intentions to bust the move. Wow.
And there it was. My God, we can't even do words justice. It's just unbelievable. You gotta also look back for its time and appreciate it. This was probably the hot shit because I don't remember it as kid, but you like the graphics and just Flair in a little square and just Doom and the Steiners. And I remember watching like WCW main event episodes from this era on YouTube, and I would see commercials for this. And the funny thing is, and we'll get to him in a little bit, but the person they had rapping for this was Teddy Long. And I wish it was Teddy Long on this still rapping, but it was. It's just some other guy.
Yeah.
Do the wild thing. You said do the wild thing on throughout this entire show. If you made a drinking game out of this, we'd be attending your funeral tomorrow. That's how many times they said do the wild thing on pay-per-view. Jesus. More than they said Wrestlewar.
I didn't notice that, but I'm glad you're here to notice a little bit.
Let's notice other little bits, like pieces of things in our hair that look like Christmas ornaments. What the fuck, Terry Funk? It's to your announce team, Jim Ross, Terry Funk. Obviously, one of Terry Funk's first goes as an announcer on a big show. My God.
Awful, wasn't it? Just awful. He looked like Tatanka's dirty old uncle to begin with. And then just his lines, it's like, did they script his lines? Or did they just say to him, you're a wrestler, you know what you're talking about, just go out and say it. What a mistake if they did. Dear God. This Terry Funk's whole performance throughout the entire pay-per-view reminds me of, I can't remember the bloke's name, through King of the Ring 94. That fucking guest commentator they got
Art
in.
Donovan.
Art Donovan, that's it. Just awful. That ranks up there with me with the worst, guest commentators I've ever had. It was just horrible. It made a shitty pay-per-view that much shittier.
Like, it was also like instantly too, you knew Terry was going to be awful. It was like 2 lines in after the welcome everybody and all that when he threw the Funk. Like his second line, he said, maybe I should be the mascot, the wild thing. And it just shit the bed immediately. Like we're talking off air also, Jim Ross's face. You're looking at it right now during this, guys. Not only was he overly tan, his eyes look weird because he had that spray tan. It's going back and seeing a young Jim to begin with, but he just looked uncomfortable in every goddamn segment he was on air with Terry Funk. Yeah, unbelievable. And
Sorry,
the,
I'm just remembering.
the
Yeah,
best
you're right.
the best line on this real quick, Matt, I actually wrote it down. It said, when they're running down the card and Jim Ross finally got to Luger and Flair, the main event on this for the title, Matt. Funk's huge line he had to build this up, monotone and all. He said it delivered like this: "It'll be an event," and that was it. And it's like they back or went to another segment. I was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
It was like the early commentary on the SmackDown games for the PS2. If you remember them, where Taz and Michael Cole would just interject with little bits.
Yeah. Or like In Your House, the Wrestlemania the arcade game. It was like Mr. Perfect and Vincent Mann sound bites. It was just From here though, they throw it to
Right.
Bob Caudle. Or no, Gordon Soley. I'm sorry, and
Solely, yeah.
Teddy Long in street fighting clothes. This was unique. You know what? Surprisingly, Teddy Long wasn't as scrawny as I remembered him. He had a little bit of gun show going on there. It's like he'd been hitting the weights a little
He
bit.
did. He looked very good, Teddy Long. I don't remember him looking this good, but credit to him. And this segment, it was all about Dan Spivey not being there and his replacement.
Oh.
And you know what? Teddy Long on the mic. Can I just say, Teddy Long on the mic? What a fucking good talker he was. I know his talking in his SmackDown days wasn't top notch always, but what a fucking good talker he used to be.
I don't know. Well, you're gonna have to disagree on this because I also wrote down on here Teddy Long never told a lie. He said that 22 times in the promo. He's never told a lie, and he never really has done it for me in any form as being a really good promo. I don't know why. Maybe it's a timing issue for me. His delivery. Yeah.
It's about time we disagreed on something, Travis.
I know, right? Because I'm pretty
I
sure the
think it's
rest of
getting
this
boring.
review, we're going to be on the same side for how terrible this shit was.
Yeah.
Who would know it was Teddy Long that would part the sea, known as Union Smack?
My God. Well, so I had to.
Farouk hat and all. He had like a Farouk Nation of Domination in hat during this promo. That's
I know.
to our first matchup. The haircuts in this match are off the charts already. The team, by the way, shocker, Matt, tag team action.
Yeah, it's something we really didn't see enough of during this pay-per-view, don't you think? Just some solid tag team action. Fucking hell. But yes, it was Buzz Sawyer and Kevin Sullivan versus the Dynamic Dudes. And do you know what, Travis? You might disagree with me on this, but as the first match out of the gate, I actually quite enjoyed this one.
I gotta agree with you. The only problem I had was at the very end, there was a botched head scissors takedown. It just looked ugly, but they kind of recovered with roll up.
Yeah. Do you know, I like this match better than a lot of other tag team matches on this because it didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. That sounds weird to say. It felt more like I was watching I don't know, like went for 12 minutes maybe. But it felt like I was watching a TV match and it didn't really matter the outcome. So I could enjoy it more. And obviously it was the first match on the fucking show, so
yeah.
and stupid me hadn't looked at the match. I hadn't looked at the match card before I'd watched this, so I wasn't fully aware that we were going to get a show just jam-packed with tag team matches.
Yeah.
Imagine my disappointment as the show rolled on.
Yeah. What a way to kick it off, too. If you guys haven't figured it out, by the way, we've totally avoided trying to talk about who their opponents were. Yes, it's the Dynamic Dudes. No escape. I was kind of surprised.
Yes, and relieved at the same time.
It's true. It's this crowd at the time. You didn't see too much of this on bigger shows, but the dudes were a different breed, man. They just people weren't into him. They weren't feeling him anymore, and it didn't take long for fans to turn on him. By the end of this, I feel like Sawyer and Sullivan, the crowd were behind them when they actually got the win.
Yeah, agreed. And you know what? Kevin Sullivan didn't sell shit for them. I felt like it was like every chop and drop kick. It was just like, nah, not doing it for you. Sorry.
Well, he didn't want that bright green neon shoelace to fall out of his fucking hair. He took so long to tie on there, like he was a pilgrim or some aristocrat from the 1700s. What the hell was that?
I have no idea.
chain and a toilet flushes or something.
Oh my god. I also really like Buzz Sawyer. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but I felt he worked very well with Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace. And like he had that old guard personality.
Mhm.
I just like that about him.
He had an old guard personality with like a new age haircut. One of the weirdest dudes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's like if Paul Heyman hung out with like Kid and Play and got or Vanilla Ice and got steps. That was this haircut. And also, I totally agree with that. And I feel like throughout history of wrestling, Buzz Sawyer, just looking at him on a camera, is one of the most believable looking guys to this day in any era. You could legit
Yeah,
see that guy just
agree.
ripping your head off in a bar fight. Legit, just from your spine, throwing it down on the ground and stomping it because you pissed him off.
Yeah.
I wish my head would
Agreed.
have been ripped off and stomped on the ground so I didn't have to watch one of the worst motherfucking promo segments I've ever seen in my life. We go to next, Matt. Norman, the lunatic. Not the lunatic anymore, just big party Norman with all his stuffed animals and bullshit. And Missy Hyatt looking like Mike McGurk, the old female ring announcer from WWF Superstars in a tuxedo.
Yeah.
I never remember Missy looking like this before. This was weird. What more can you say?
Awkward. That's what I could say. This was so awkward. I felt like neither of them really had any lines, so they were making it up on the spot. And she didn't know how to react to him, and he'd never really been around a girl before. So
And what did they come up with? Exactly.
And
They had no lines, and they came up with he's a molester. He just keeps goading her into touch. He is a molester. Don't trust that
and
guy.
didn't Norman the Lunatic look like every fucking wrestling mark on Twitter today? It's just like that's how you imagine them, just sitting in their little basement with their one-piece pajamas on and their stomachs hanging out, and the smell that could break windows. It's
Mom,
just
I said I
hideous.
wanted a sandwich, not a Hot Pocket. Here's something else. I don't know if it was the WWE Network overdub, and I hate when they do this with their theme musics. Did they give Norman Roseanne's theme song from the TV show? Because that's what I heard.
I think they did.
I expected Dan fucking Connor to come out behind him. Here's John Goodman on the WCW show. They've had RoboCop. Why not John Goodman? Jesus.
Oh my god.
And bless his heart, a young Cactus Jack Manson, try as he did, and he couldn't get this over to save his life.
No. The best part about this match was when they announced Norman from the City State Hospital.
Yeah. Because originally, and I'm sure most listeners don't know, and if you know the history of Mike Shaw and all that, God bless you. But before this, he was just Norman the Lunatic. They brought him in, tried to make him a monster heel because he was Mockin Singh or something, I think, in Stampede Wrestling. He was a monster heel over there. So it didn't work. They made Teddy Long his mouthpiece because he was one of the top heel managers at the time. It just didn't work, and they turned him into this. It's kind of like the Oddities in the Attitude Era. They just made him into like kids. They're monsters for his like magic wand wave. You're a babyface now. You're also a kid who dresses terrible, and you like ICP.
And ironically, probably the most over he was ever in his career. It's like when he went on to Bastion Booger, it's like, there was no like this level of fame at all. So I'm sure he ate it up, Travis, as much as he could.
It's true. They also so much wrestling, so many guys they tried to make babyface that time. There were like two standard things, and like most wrestlers' booking sheets at the time to get guys babyface, either give them pets to bring to the ring or have them give shit out to the fans, right? And Norman threw his teddy bear out into the crowd. I don't know if you remember because I have this written down. Just the guy that caught it. He was like a middle-aged fucking guy, and he just looked like some goofball. But he looked so excited to catch that teddy bear. It looked like cost $4 at a carnival. So bad. Good. And of course, though, at least Norman kept his Bastion Booger finisher, the Eat Me Out, and getting the win here.
Eat me out.
You call it the Booger Buster if you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thoughts, Matt? I feel like
Jesus,
you're just so disgusted by this matchup.
Oh, it was hideous. They actually had the cheek to book this to go 9.5 minutes. I looked 9.5 minutes, and it was just terrible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fucking terrible. And was it just me, or did you spot that they made him wear like an all-in-one bodysuit underneath, so his dirty fat guts would not just fall
Oh yeah.
out?
It's kind of like when they make Kevin Owens wear tights under his shorts.
Yeah.
Pretty much. At least we
This was
ripped that
awful.
Band-Aid off. That's over with. I feel like finally
Yeah.
we got to something good. We got sent to the Midnight Express, my favorite incarnation of the Midnight Express. Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton, with Jim Cornette, cutting a standard, what I feel pretty much any good Jim Cornette promo. My problem with this, why is Stan Lane wearing Randy Savage glasses? I don't ever remember him wearing Randy Savage glasses in any other promo. This kind of threw me off.
Yeah, same. I never remember him wearing anything like that before or after. So where they come from, I have no idea. But Jim Cornette's promos, always amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Always amazing. I don't care what anyone says about Jim Cornette in the present or how they feel about him. Got to be one of the best managers next to Bobby Heenan on the mic. Got to be.
Yep. Top three. Heyman, and Heenan for my top three.
Yeah.
How could you not? It's kind of a no-brainer. Think about it. We never really talk. Like, I know we've done whole episodes on Never Drew a Dime about Bobby Eaton's career, but you and I have never really talked about the Midnight Express. And I said this is my favorite incarnation. Any thoughts? Were you a fan of this team? This feud with the Rock and Roll Express? Were you exposed to a lot of it?
Yeah, I mean, my WCW wrestling, like in the 90s, came from my granddad. And yeah, we've talked about him bootlegging WCW tapes, VHS tapes before, so I could watch them because we didn't get it over here, on normal TV like we did WWF. So it was literally the only way I could watch it. But over the years, it's like going back and watching stuff that I'd never seen before. Midnight Express are one of my favourite tag teams ever. I wasn't that keen on Rock and Roll Express, but Midnight Express, one of my favourite tag teams ever. And I have to say that Bobby Eaton is arguably one of the most underrated workers in the history of the industry. I love watching his singles matches and his tag team matches. It's just there's something about the guy. It's just you can't put your finger on it.
Well said, my friend. He was kind of he had a Jeff Hardy persona about him, kind of an enigma because he barely ever said a word.
Yeah. The thing is that you don't need, when you're that good in the ring, you don't need to say anything. It's just let your shit do the talking for you.
And I also agree about the Rock and Roll Express thing. They didn't really click, and I didn't really appreciate that team until I got older and started like understanding psychology and work rate. When I was younger, I grew up in a house that was a WWF house. Rarely did any of the WCW and stuff come on. So I was exposed to the Rockers first. So when I saw them later, they always came off as like old man version Rockers. You know what I mean? To me as a kid,
yeah,
it didn't click.
I think the first time I ever really took an interest in the Rock and Roll Express was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd seen them on WCW VHSs, but the first time it ever really clicked for me was Survivor Series '93, and the whole build around them and the heavenly bodies.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, oh, well, actually, I'll go back over the years and rewatch them. But even to this day, of course, I appreciate the work rate and the ring psychology and everything they brought to a tag team match. But even in the present, as a so-called smart fan, as people like to label us, they still don't really do it for me. I'm still more of a Midnight Express guy than a Rock and Roll Express guy.
No, same. And this was at the tail end of Cornette's time in WCW. They would leave shortly after this, coming off the heels of what I believe in 1989 was a successful babyface turn when they had Midnight versus Midnight, right? But I feel like they came off as good babyface. They had great crowd support, and the dumbass bookers and behind WCW turned them heel again for no reason. They capitalized on this was already nostalgia. This feud in 1990. That's the sad part.
Yeah. Yeah, they've had so many matches by then. It was just like, oh, another match. And honestly, compared to their other matches, Travis, this wasn't the best. I didn't feel like. I just felt it was a rehash of everything they'd done before.
Been there, done that kind of.
But then when you've had that when you've had that many matches, it's like, how much different can you make another one feel?
Exactly. It was what we go through now. Just Crown Jewel last year. Oh my God, with the main event, stuff like that. This wasn't on that level of cringe. This had glimpses, small glimpses of cringe, but for 20 minutes right here on the card, I feel like this was probably one of the more solid matches, probably my favorite matches simply because of who was in it. I also agree Midnight's one of my favorite top tag teams of all time. And the
Yeah.
Roll Express here with kind of a weird sloppy finish in a way, or the double roll up thing, which I don't know. It is what it is.
Sure.
And we've seen, like you said earlier, I feel like we've seen that same finish in so many matches these teams have had anyway. So it's kind of just like, oh, payday.
Exactly. And second tag team match on the card was just a non-finish, really. The first one had it. This one had it. Jim Cornette was the standout star, with his interaction with Nick Patrick in the beginning. And I know people say, like, Bobby Heenan's the greatest wrestling manager of all time. And yes, of course, I say that. I loved Bobby Heenan as a kid, loved him as an adult. But for me, Jim Cornette trumps him. Only just a little. But I think Jim Cornette is my favourite manager of all time.
I mean, you
And I honestly,
put the argument too, best Cornette, most influential Bobby Heenan, because Cornette will say himself he ripped off so much from Heenan.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like Jimi Hendrix is the most influential guitar player of all time, maybe for like heavy metal and stuff, but he's not the best compared to guys we would see later on who are so technical and good at guitar.
Yeah. I just think like the bits that Jim Cornette did supposedly take from Bobby Heenan, I just think he did them slightly better. For me, but Bobby Heenan was an excellent manager, but for me, Bobby Heenan was all about the commentary work.
That's still to this day one of the
Jim Cornette
closest photo finish, toughest calls to make is who's the better of those two.
Yeah. I don't think Jim Cornette gets the the appreciation and love for being a first-rate manager that he actually deserves, and that he probably never will. He's not got a great reputation within the industry with like bookers and wrestlers and blah blah blah. But honestly, it's like, as a fan, you're watching this and you're growing up with Jim Cornette from NWA, WCW, Smoky Mountain, WWF. His time as a booker in and around the Attitude Era. It's just, he's done so much that people don't even realise. And where's his fucking place in the Hall of Fame, I ask?
I thought he had a coronary the other day on Twitter when what's her face before it shoved a sucker up Joey Ryan's ass on an indie wrestling clip. My God. They give Cornette too much material to work with. You don't want him to get pissed off, indie wrestling fans. Look what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
I'll say this. I will say this. I feel like of anything, we talk about your Ric Flair robes. This is to tie the bow in the Midnight Express tag match segment, by the way. Talk about your Ric Flair robes. These robes right here may be the most badass robes I've ever seen in my life that the Midnight Express had, just with the built-in little shoulder pad poofs and just the design.
Yeah.
They screamed masculinity to me, and I want one. Speaking of screaming masculinity, though, Matt. Go ahead.
Go on. I was just going to say, if anyone knows of one going cheap on eBay, then you know where Travis is to get hold of him.
Get Matt a Pete Dunne figure while you're at it, for God's sakes, people.
Yes, but someone get me a fucking Pete Dunne figure. This thing's becoming like gold dust. I can't find it anywhere.
You'll never forget the name of I'll never forget the name of the Road Warriors, the LOD. We went to a backstage promo with these guys and Paul Ellering. This is something we neglected to talk about also, one of the top angles in the company this time. All the baby faces are wearing, in some form or fashion, Sting black armbands with Sting on it. And like Norman had it on his head earlier, upside down. Road Warriors here just rocking it like he died or something. It looks like Sting died, and these guys are paying tribute. I'm sorry.
It does.
I can't help this.
If you don't know what happened, haven't watched the week's worth of telly before, or even listened to Jim Ross, Sting could have died. Like you wouldn't be any the wiser that he's actually only injured.
Yeah. What the hell?
Sorry, I just dropped all my notes over the floor. Then carry on,
dude. If you got hurt, I'd feel awful, and I'd like try to visit you as much as I could and check up on you. But like to wear a black armband, I don't want to give people the wrong idea. And like someone sees me for the first time, I feel like their reaction would be like, "Oh, did Matt die?" And I don't want to like upset him.
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
that is very true. It was just weird. It's like wear a t-shirt with him
Yeah,
on, you know,
yeah.
just justice for Sting. Something like that. Not a fucking deathly black armband that looks like you're mourning him.
Here's an idea. Just say it in a fucking promo. You don't have to wear anything. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Standard LOD promo building up their Chicago Street Fight, which comes up now. Any specific? I will say this. I'll say this till the end of time. People could come at me. Paul Ellering was always the weakest link promo wise, and I never got why people thought Paul Ellering was so great. I felt like he stumbled a lot in promos. He kind of came off Lord Alfred Hayes-ish. You know, God knows we've covered his
yeah.
promo skills in the past. I've never really gotten behind Ellering, and I totally saw why WWF didn't bring them in with him at first. When you add Ellering to the mix, especially for the WWF at that time, for a more kid-friendly, Ellering doesn't look like a babyface manager. Babyfaces didn't have managers really in WWF at all, unless you were a woman.
Yeah, that's true.
Start
That
Billy
is true.
Graham or something.
And can I just say this promo here, Travis? It was just a load of words.
Hmm.
I've started, as we watch these retro reviews back, I've started to tune out of LOD Road Warrior promos because they're just all the same fucking thing. You know, I know some people, you might be one of them, would rate the Road Warriors on their promo skills and like, oh, it really set up a match. But for me, I think knowing how limited the Road Warriors are, and yes, fine, people could say they're the greatest tag team in history, etc. For me personally, it's the Steiners, not the Road Warriors. But a Road Warriors LOD promo before a match just always brings the match to come down for me. I don't know why, and I can't explain it. I couldn't tell you why. It's just it takes something away from it for me.
I think it depends on the era for one with the LOD for me. Like if it's like anything post 97, not hyped at all. Don't want to see it. I don't want to see DOA. Any of that shit. But if it's like this, usually I was into it. This though, I will say this: they were always maybe they're definitely not my favorite tag team, but they're probably my most as a total package type thing, probably the best kind of tag team as a draw, as a promo, as a look, as just they were definitely believable in the ring. Um, I feel like though they could take anything and still look badass. It still blows my mind why they made them ride like bitches on the way down to the ring, like the bikers driving them, they were their girlfriend or something or what have you. That it looked kind of,
Yeah,
and it looked. I thought that guy was gonna
very awkward right now.
foot fucking wobbly ramp. That's safe. You see,
It was
my
a very
God,
interesting ride to the ring. Let's say that.
yeah. But I will say this: the crowd went insane, and when those red flames on the ramp hit, that camera shot, that might be the only good camera shot on this entire goddamn show. Was that shot of Paul Ellering kind of following behind him? He looked like a silhouette in hell. That looked cool. And
Yeah.
sure as shit, as soon as I said something out loud to my girlfriend who's watching it with me, God bless her, by the way. I was like, oh, that, and they just cut to something shitty. The shitty I'm sorry I'm cussing so much this week. So much material to work with. The goddamn replacement manager for Dan Spivey, it looked like the Brooklyn Brawler in a mask. I have no clue who it was.
Was it not Mike Enos?
I didn't look it up, but if you knew that, then that makes sense, because what else would he be doing at the time?
I'm pretty sure it's in the book. Cheap plug. McFoley would be proud. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Mike Enos, who would, of course, go on to become Blake Beverly. Am I right, Bo?
Yeah.
Blake Beverly? I know he was one
of them. Well, he was in the
I get mixed
Destruction
up
Crew.
with
See, that I thought he was in AWA at this time in '90. Maybe he came in later that year in the Destruction Crew, and then they.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they brought him in. But it's definitely him. Take my word for it, Travis. I researched this shit heavily.
This match was just a big man brawl. I will say, it's always kind of odd to go back and see. You're much more used to it than I am, but just to see Mark Callis instead of the Undertaker and him like
Yeah.
smiling or smirking or acting like a chicken shit with Teddy Long. Acid wash jeans, Barry Windham chaps, and although he was out there, and you could see the look on his face to the ring. He hated being there, and you could see why he'd leave in a couple months for less money.
Yeah, And it's still weird to this day watching him not as the Undertaker. You know, it doesn't sit well with me after all these years of, you know, loving the Undertaker and seeing him in the hat and the fucking cloak and everything else. It's still weird to go back and watch him just as him, with no character, no real gimmick to speak of, no discernible wrestling skill to speak of yet. You know, it's just one of them things that it's, ooh dear, feels dirty.
Yeah. And there were certain parts of this that were just bad, but there was other parts that were just awful. Like when Ellering and Teddy Long were in there, after Ellering was wrestling in, by the way, like dress clothes and stuff. And when he tussled, or whatever the word is, with Teddy Long, when his shirt started becoming untucked, he just looked like a drunk uncle at a wedding. Like they were kicking out by the end.
Yeah.
And that was just bad. But the standard brawl, and as soon as I saw, like, I was a little bit hyped because I didn't know the history of the show, and who's the mystery guy gonna be? As soon as I saw it was like Jobber City, right? I was like, he's eating the pin. And lo and behold, who took the pin?
And how long did this match go? It couldn't have been longer than, what, 5-6 minutes, surely. And by
This
the
match
end,
went 4 minutes and
enough-
59 seconds.
4 minutes and 59 seconds. And by the end, even though he had a mask on, you could tell Mike Enos was absolutely fucked by the end of it.
Well, by the end of it, we had two
Absolutely.
waiters out there ready to take our order at fucking Applebee's. Oh, that was Doom. Sorry. I was thrown off by their waiters' uniforms.
Why were they dressed like that when they were doing nothing on the card? Surely you don't turn up to an arena dressed like you're about to serve the entire fucking roster dinner.
Butch Reed, excuse me, Butch Reed had an all-white suit. He kind of looked like a milkman, like that was his gimmick, and Ron Simmons looked like a waiter. And they could call the team the Everyday Joes. Like they just go out there and yeah, that's what it came off as. Obviously they were like, when you had the Road Warriors a couple years earlier in WCW, you had them, you had the Russians, you had the Andersons, you had some other big shit kicker teams. In this era, it was Doom and the Steiners that could go toe to toe with the Road Warriors, right? But I feel like it's this little glimpse of a somewhat decent but sloppy brawl after the match with Butch Reed and all that. I couldn't have gotten into this feud if I wanted to.
Yeah, agreed. I don't ever recall Doom having a good match with the Road Warriors. Maybe one of their many street fights they had, but I don't ever recall like an actual proper tag team match between the two ever being any good at all.
Yeah,
I think they had one with the Steiners that was quite good.
I think it started,
but as a tag team,
a couple months before this.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But Doom as a team, I don't think they were very good at all. Some people go brilliant. Honestly, Ron Simmons, fine. Butch Reed on his own had moments, but together, I just never felt like they properly clicked as a team. They look good. I mean, they look fucking fearsome. I wouldn't cross them.
Yeah.
But as a tag team, no, never did it for me.
Could you maybe say they were that era's version of Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson? Like on paper, and they look good, but together as a team, it just didn't work. Doom didn't like each other in real life.
Yeah.
Boy, that didn't help. And also, I feel like when they took the masks off and they took Woman away, it made it less cool.
Yeah. If they kept the masks on and kept a little bit of intrigue of, who are they? Maybe then they could have lasted longer and gone further. But once you found out it's Butch Reed, how excited can you get about Butch Reed? Honestly.
Yeah. Where did the natural? Where did that take us to next, man?
That took us to the United States Tag Team Championship match. The Freebirds versus Z-Man and Brian Pillman. This was maybe one of the dullest matches I've watched in the last 5 years. And that's going out on a limb. Because we've watched some absolute shit for this podcast, Travis.
Brian Pillman deserves so much better than this match.
He does. This almost put me to sleep, this match. This was the point in the show, Travis, where I had my PS4 controller in my hand and my finger was hovering over the circle button thinking, should I stop it? Should I stop it? Can I take much more?
By the way, the second longest match of the night behind the main event. This went 24 minutes and 30 seconds.
Of nothing. And it was after you got over the initial Z-Man and Brian Pillman sort of dancing to the Freebird music and wearing the jackets. That was it. It dragged. There were so many rest holds, and I understand. Of course, I understand. After nearly 30 years of watching this, the need for ring psychology and to build a match. But when you've got literally 24 minutes of nothing but rest holds, you know what I'm saying?
4 minutes of two guys who were over the hill already in 1990 doing bad heel psychology, playing to a crowd and doing rest holds for 24 minutes. They did it too much. That was the issue.
How many fucking chin locks can you fit into that time? They were obviously going for the Guinness World Record. Just awful. And again, another match, Travis, that ended abruptly. I don't. Let me look down this list.
Well, for one, we haven't even mentioned the first time ever the Z-Man makes an appearance on the show, Matt.
Yeah, that's true. Do you know what? I did used to like Tom Zenk, but as a kid, going back looking at it now, I see he wasn't all that. But the Z-Man character as a child, loved him. I remember getting the the Z-Man action figure, the old Galoob WCW figures. So pleased I was when I got that. It was like, holy fuck, I've got the Z-Man. Looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, I did like him. I don't like him 24 minutes worth.
Welcome to Confession Time with Matt. Bomb. What a do you still have that figure?
I think somewhere I do still have the figure, along with the Flying Brian in the blue pants. And the old Sting and Lex Luger. And plus, I think I might even have the old WCW Steiners somewhere still. I need to get my box of wrestlers out and start displaying them properly, I think.
I would rather come over to your house right now at like however late it is over there, and it's kind of late over here, and just play with action figures than watch 2 more minutes of this match again, which was, in my opinion, for an unneeded title. The United States Tag Team title, who cares? Who the fuck cares? I'm sorry for fans of that title, but it's unneeded. It just makes holds that belt kind of like not good enough to be the tag team. And I get it, the Intercontinental title and stuff like that. You can work around the Intercontinental title because sometimes you can be double champion. Doesn't really make sense to be a double champion. Why wouldn't you want to be the world champion as opposed to just, I don't know. At least you're 2 continents with the Intercontinental title, not just 1 continent. There you go. There's your logic. That was, wash your hands clean and talk. Go ahead. I
was just going to say, avoid this match at all costs. And I, especially Rocky, who said he'd find time in his day to watch this pay-per-view.
Nope, don't do it, Rocky.
Sorry, I have to apologise, Rocky. If I, in our messages, if I ever came across as if this pay-per-view was any good, then I apologise. Just skip it. Skip this match. Listen to the podcast, and you'll feel like you watched it by the end.
And after what's up next, you'll feel like you just went through a time machine. You got a young Scott Steiner with his brothers, Steiner brothers, taking Andersons with a very grizzled Ole Anderson, who's, God bless him. I know everyone says he's a dick, but he's blown up, but he's still trying to hold his own in there during this.
Yeah, he is. And this, for me, was one of the better tag team matches, Travis, because of you had almost 4 ring generals in there, I'd say. Still not great. I don't know what you thought of the match, but
not great.
This was the 4th tag team match in a row. I was over it by then. I appreciate the tag team division was that deep, but I don't appreciate it was all on one card.
Yeah, and obviously this is when Arn Anderson just came back to WCW, so that was kind of a big deal in the wrestling world at the time. The Horsemen were reformed. Yeah. Sting joined for like a week or 2, then they kicked him out, and that's kind of what built this angle with the armbands and stuff. And the Steiners were some of the most offended, some of Sting's best friends in storyline or what have you, and that's where we had in this tag match. It was 16 minutes of, like we said, not great, but not like I would watch this any day over what we just talked about. Any day.
Yeah. Exactly. I enjoyed the psychology, like the arm work on Scott Steiner. At least they put some story into it, and there was obviously story backstory going into it with the whole attack on Sting, etc.
Yeah.
So enjoyed this, and anytime I watch a Steiner Brothers match pre '95, there's always that sort of magical feel, to see them as the Steiner Brothers that we knew and loved during our childhood.
They should have pulled it so much earlier on Scott Steiner. A young Scott Steiner is one of the most unbelievable things, guys, listening. If you've never done it, to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. So much potential with Scott Steiner back in the day. Obviously, don't do drugs, kids, and don't inject shit in your body. You see what that does to you later on down the line. But, man, what they could have done.
Yeah. Can you imagine a 1990 to 1993 for Scott Steiner as WCW World Champion?
Would have been great. I feel, well,
wow.
It would have been something. That's a safe answer right there. Yeah,
yeah, it would have been better than what we got.
How nice was it, by the way, to go from a half hour of Jimmy Garvin and Michael Hayes to Arn Anderson working his magic, working a leg, working an arm? Just definitely stood out. It made Arn look that much better when you saw him.
Yeah. It was almost like having two dates in one night, but the first date's a real pig, and the second date's like a proper stunner. It's just like, oh, thank God.
Are you going to reference Nia on the runway here in a second?
Maybe. It's like, oh, thank God you're Ember Moon and not Nia Jax, in a sort of way,
We're saying she's a stunner, guys. Relax. Or maybe we're not. Anyway, that was the World Tag Team title match. Steiner Brothers, they retain.
Yes. Inside Cradle. Again, another... I can't believe they had...
Another Inside Cradle. 4
tag team matches on this card and not one decent finish on any of them. It was
Small package, roll up, Inside Cradle, Schoolboy, get out of there, backslide, what have you. Every fucking match so far that's, except the Eat Me Out by Norman earlier. That was your what? Your standard fucking... No, the Road Warriors. They hit the Doomsday Device. I apologize.
That is true. Actually, yeah, that is true. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
But still, there was enough of the roll-up. I agree.
Yeah.
Ahead of myself might be the theme of me this week. I'm just all over the place.
Well, next up, we were taken to a Lex Luger and Ric Flair interview.
Boy, were we.
Boy. By this point, I was well and truly done with the show. I'll be honest. What followed could have been the greatest match in history. I would shamelessly admit that I was probably half watching, half playing on my phone.
This card has been so bad to this point and made this Lex Luger promo here look great.
Yeah, it did. Lex Luger actually looked and sounded decent.
Weird.
Even if his fucking arm was waving everywhere. Weird Lex Luger hair. Ric Flair's promo, though, again, brilliant. Delivery, words. I just felt like everything Ric Flair, used to say, it was just so powerful. It's like everything, the way he delivered it, the things he said, his words meant something. This is how to do a promo. I wish people in the modern day would take a fucking, glance back at history and say, oh, if we tried that, it might have to get it over.
Well, and also because he was one of the main bookers at the time and kind of the office too. He kind of held himself to a different... He went out there on any show. I feel like he always had in his mind, it's my job to save this shit show. So he always went out and left nothing behind. He left it all out there, I should say, and another case of a good Ric Flair promo.
And thank God for Ric Flair. However, thank not God. Gary Michael Capetta, could he have hammed that Sting intro up anymore? It's like, this show didn't feel 6 hours too long already? And then we get Gary Michael just telling a story. It's like, just get on with it. I've got a life to live.
Fans, 22 years ago, Sting was involved in a terrible blah, 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 blah. Shut the fuck up. Gary Michael Capetta, basically. And it just, hey, guys, I'm Sting. I'm okay. I'm okay. I would all pay-per-view to tell you I'm not dead.
Yeah. All pay-per-view to tell you the black armbands were for nothing.
For nothing. God, you guys all bought the merch, suckers.
Yeah. I've got your money now. Here I am on crutches, but I don't know. It's you could see where the match was. Even if you've not, if you're not a big fan of WCW during the 90s and you've never seen this and you've never seen the match and don't know the outcome, blah de blah, you can spot the outcome. That here, as soon as Sting hobbles down on crutches, you can spot how this match is going to end.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No
Sadly.
finish. We went 38 minutes here in your main event for the world title.
Yeah.
No clean finish. There was a count out.
Can you believe that? Can you imagine in the present day booking a nearly 40-minute main event and then going, it's a count out finish? Well, after all the shitty finishes you've seen here, it's a count out finish.
Sadly, as much as, we're guilty as shit of it because we both love this era. For most companies in wrestling at the time, they did it all the time. Look at the WWF. That was the standard norm. I did the Dusty finish. They would come to that later on, and this was just the era of that. And people just didn't care. They were so happy the live crowd was just happy to see their favorites out there. You know what I mean? They didn't give a shit, really. Sometimes it depended on what city you're in,
Yeah.
You're in Puerto Rico, you better have some baby faces winning or you're getting stabbed.
True.
Just saying. That was a horrible thing to say. I can't believe that, especially with Bruce. Apologies, guys. Like we were talking about off air too, probably Luger's one of his best matches, easily.
Yeah, easily. This and the other one he had against Flair. It's early in the morning or late at night, depending on how you look at it. So I can't bring it to mind. But this was very much the era of let's not pull the trigger on Lex Luger.
Yeah.
Sadly. This match, it might have been 38 minutes of a card that was way too long, but I really enjoyed the story of his desperation. It's like he needs this title and he'll do anything to get it. And let's be honest, Flair made Luger look like $1 million.
Oh yeah, oh for sure. When you hear that you could say generic line when people describe Ric Flair, how you could work with the broom and all that stuff. This is the kind of guy they're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm working with.
Exactly. He took a man who was generic, arguably in almost every way. Put on the same matches night in and night out, and he made him look like a world beater.
And we were talking about Ric Flair in the office and having some of the book earlier too. I think a big case of that is at this time in early '90, Ric Flair was advocating for Sting to be the guy, right? Ric Flair recognized how much more popular it was. They had tried it with Luger for a couple of years, and it just something hadn't clicked. And it was like a power struggle between Jim Herd and Ric Flair and other decisions. And finally, Sting would win it in a couple months at the Great American Bash for the first time. You know what I mean? But this kind of felt like the last sunset for the Lex experiment. I feel like this was planting the seeds. This was all about Sting, really, at the end of the day. And Lex came out looking like second place.
Yeah, he did. He did. Sadly, because, what could have been after that for Lex Luger, but I mean, he'd get the title eventually, but it never really felt the same,
No.
The heel. Yeah, the heel Lex Luger with Harley Race as manager.
I didn't hate it.
Never really felt. It's true. It never really felt the same as if he'd have won it off of Flair.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for me, it was a mistake. Just like SummerSlam '93 was a mistake. I'd have put the title on Luger, then had him turn on Sting and have Sting win it off of him. But
I feel like
maybe
case of always a bridesmaid in a way. You know what I mean? And never the bride.
Yeah.
Kind of always right there, but
yeah, it's true.
They didn't work out or line up right.
Yeah. What did you think about the ending of this match, Travis? Because I thought it was I thought it was a mess, to be honest.
I thought it was a mess. I feel like Luger was out of position a little bit where he was supposed to be. He looked like a little bit lost. Did you say?
He did. Yeah, he did. And why? Like, Ole and Arn Anderson are down. They're beating the shit out of Luger. But the Steiners don't turn up until they turn their attention to Sting. It's
Yeah,
like
what a bunch
if
of
they were,
dicks.
that it's like we're not saving you. We'll save Sting,
It's either that
but we're
or
not
Lex
saving
Luger's the
you.
dick and nobody likes him. So look at it either way you want. Who's the dick in that?
That's true. So you can see why he turned on Sting, can't you? It's like, why
Yeah.
the fuck are you down here on crutches? On one, it's like obviously that's going to go wrong. And two, I've just lost the match trying to save you. So fuck you, Sting.
And I might be talking out of my ass, but I
However,
feel
say
like
what?
they would bring this up in promos leading to Lex's heel turn of how this was like a case of favoring Sting over him.
Yeah,
And like calling out the Steiners and like,
yeah. I mean, it was good, foundation laying, but I just felt they missed the trick. Just, just if you're gonna go this far, in the Luger experiment, just pull the trigger on it. Just see what happens. But they never did. And say what you like about steroids, but they fucking kept Luger chugging away here.
anybody can always say whatever they want about steroids, but I guarantee everybody who likes any form of wrestling, at least one of your top 5 guys have injected steroids into your bodies. Just accept it. Just like other athletes.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is at this point. They're hurting themselves. Let's be honest. It's not like they're hurting anybody but themselves. I mean, it's not a smart decision. I think
true.
the best Lex could have ever done to finally get through this show and to end this Lex Luger debate. I think what could have made it work, the best form as a world champion and a top guy for a long run, is heal him with a good mouthpiece manager. That would have been the best way to go, because he did not have the charisma. I think everyone across the board could agree on that, to carry the ball like a Hogan did at all.
Agreed. Can you imagine heel Luger with a Jim Cornette? Dear God.
I was just thinking that. I was also thinking of Bobby Heenan. Like how, kind of like, that was the best thing about Lex in the WWF, was his debut at the Rumble, just because of Bobby Heenan, I feel like.
Yeah.
How he hyped him. But say what you will, that was...
Another...
Man, good.
I was going to say that just another missed opportunity was like, I feel like Lex Luger's, the majority of his career was just a missed opportunity.
He peaked when he beat Hogan for the title in '97 on Nitro. That was the tippy top for Lex, and it was all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Sadly, it came too late. Just like Steiner we were talking about. Shout out to steroids again.
Yep.
Steroid talk this week.
Two poster boys for steroids right there.
Yeah.
Are we done with this review, Travis? Can we move on with our lives?
The smoke is cleared. The battlefields are finally safe to come out of our holes. We did it. We won the war, maybe. I don't know, really. I feel like I won anything reviewing this, but that's it. We did it. What would you review this show in total, Matt?
Oh, give it a D. Solid D. It was long. It dragged. The majority of the matches were shite. If it hadn't been for the Steiners and the main event, and arguably the Midnight Express versus Rock and Roll Express in parts, this would have been a complete fail on every single level.
Yeah, I totally agree. I give the same grade, the same exact outcome, all of it. Couldn't agree more. And
you know, whichever one of us said it would be a good idea to review this should resign from the show immediately.
I guess I quit because I think it was my idea.
I think it was.
There you have it, though. I'm glad it is over with. Next time we come at you, I think it's time, Matt, that we both aligned again and talked about some NXT UK together for our next round.
Yes. Yeah. I'm slightly bored of doing it on my own, Travis. It's like I need someone to bounce off of.
Because I'm all caught up now. I've been keeping up. A lot of people don't know. It's not like guys. People have even asked me though, have you stopped watching? No, I just had to play catch up, but I'm caught up and know what's going on. Good.
Yeah, and plus we may have a major title change to talk about next time around.
I have
and
to
if
be
we
there
do,
to
I won't
comfort
be
Matt.
fucking happy. I'll warn everyone.
I have to be there as a friend to support Matt if that happens. It's what a good friend does.
Honestly, I'm going to be so pissed off. I'm going to be so pissed off. Like, if I don't know. Everyone knows how I feel about Walter, so I guess all we can do is wait and see now.
We will get through it together, my friend. Come hell or high water. Whatever the outcome may be, We will get through this thing together. This Pete Dunne, Walter match going up takeover. One more time before we get to any takeovers, any of that. Where can everyone catch it?
You can find me on Twitter, sorry, at the Perfect Desmond. You can find our merchandise, the official Union Smack shirt, the official Hibiki TMD shirt, my book, The Undertaker: A Trip Down Death Valley, which will be available in your UK Wrestle Crate very shortly. You can find all that on unismack.bigcarsell.com.
Very good, my friend. So great catching up about some terrible wrestling as always. Thank you for making bad shows good shows to talk and make fun about. I will talk to you next go round right here on the show. Until then, on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD, hit that subscribe right down below for all the very best in retro gaming and pro wrestling goodness. Until then, Matt, cheerio, mate.
Cheerio, mate.